And we are live.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gathering Paracast. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Heidi. We're here for our first Paranormal Smorgasbord of the year.
Yeah, our first show of 2025,
and the first show.
I guess. Yeah. We're a little discombobulated because we've had shows the last couple of weeks, but we pre-recorded them. So this is the first time in studio for a few weeks, and we're all like, okay, now what do we do this?
I almost forgot how to set up the equipment.
I know, we did. Yeah, and we're hoping we don't look so quite vampire-ish. We took away one of the lights, so oh my god.
We were a bit
we looked like vampire.
Which is okay for like maybe the Halloween show. We could look like vampires or something.
But
that's okay. It was good. We are just kind of working out the kinks.
We were. Yes, we were. So how are you, Heidi? Did you have a good holiday season?
We were quiet.
Yeah.
It was good. I'm so glad it was quiet.
I know, me too.
So nice.
Me too.
It's quiet in the way of doing like all the runaround and visiting and whatever. We didn't do all this runaround.
Nope.
But what's interesting is over the last, I don't know, month or maybe a little bit longer, our house has gotten more active. I mean, I keep hearing someone coming up the stairs. It just happened the other day. It was as if someone was coming up the stairs and dropped something on the stairs. That's what it sounded like.
Okay.
When you're going up the stairs and then you drop whatever you're carrying. That's what it sounded like.
That makes me think about some things.
I was standing right there at the stove and I looked and I went and I peeked because I know nobody's there because I know I went home and the dogs are somewhere up.
Right.
So I looked just to be, I wonder if something fell that's on the ledge over by the stairs. Mm-hmm. Maybe something fell.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was there. And I'm like, wow, there has been multiple instances in our house where it sounds like someone is going up or down the stairs clearly. And we live in a house with nobody, with no neighbors.
Right.
We're in the country. So anyway, it's.
Yeah. And now that you say that, I think I need to clear my house. Because I have noticed that too, because I've spent a lot of time at home the last few weeks. I've been off work and like you, it's been great. Spent a lot of time just hanging on the couch. Can I just say, which is something I don't do very often. And there have been times when I have had all three kittens on my lap. So I know it's not them. I'm the only one home. And swear to God, somebody's wrestling around the kitchen or somebody is doing this, somebody's doing that. So,
yeah.
Well, you just never know for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
It might be time for
a good house cleaning.
First of the year home clearing.
Yes, exactly. The whole shadooble and get it all done.
The whole what?
I think so. The whole shadooble. It's a Steffiism.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know what that is, but
okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So that's been kind of the activity that I've experienced a little bit more than the runaround of the holidays, which is fine.
That's interesting. Yeah. We did get, Katie and I got out in the woods I can't remember if it was a week ago or a week and a half ago.
I think I saw some photos.
It was one of those days when it was foggy. And let me tell you something.
Gosh, yeah.
So one of the things was we had a he said, she said scheduled. So we kind of had to get out there. And we were out there and it was, a gross day, man. I'm telling you, it was like rainy and foggy. But then there was so many down trees. We went to research area number 1, right?
Okay.
So you know where that is.
Yep.
And so many trees down that some of the structures that we thought we would use as a backdrop were gone. So we didn't have that. But then after the show and we were looking around and we were at the big hug structure, you know where that is?
Yeah.
Suddenly it started getting super foggy. And we kind of, right. And we kind of, I'm like, oh my God, how do we get back to the trail now? Because I don't know where we are. I mean, all you could see was this it was like white curtains around us and it was starting to get dark too. We had lost track of time. Of course, this happens a lot. Yeah, I started to get a little terrified,
You had your phone with you, right?
We did. But we did find, we did find it. And then it started really getting dark really fast. And I was a little worried. And I was talking to Tommy Cooper on the way home and he's like, Steph, this is how people die. I'm like, well, thank you.
That's true. But with the phone thing, which is helpful because when I've been on kayaking on rivers and stuff, and I'm trying to figure out like how far I have to go to get where, where am I, what bend is this, right? Because I'm not a professional. I do not kayak. I'm not good at it. So But you can use your phone to show, okay, where am I at on the map function?
Yep.
And then you can see where the road is.
Yep.
So you know where you parked.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, well, at least I know if I go, this way, I'm going to hit the road,
Yep.
or this way I'll hit the trail or whatever. So I always find that that's kind of helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, a compass.
Yeah.
would be
Oh, I do have a
ideal, too.
compass, but you get a little worked up when in that kind of a situation, and then Jerry told me, well, if you just hold your camera towards the sky and take a picture, it'll give you your coordinates and then it'll transfer right onto your map, right? It'll go right onto the map and then you'll be able to tell where that trail is. I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to get
there
out
is.
of the woods.
I mean, I guess I wasn't seriously
The
worried
fog,
we were
though,
going to
is-
die there. You know what I mean? But
the bigger issue, though, with the fog is if you hit like a ravine or something.
Yes.
And you don't see it because you're, panicking
Well,
or whatever, and you fall, like you get hurt. That's where it could be bad news.
And out there, it's all swamps. You know what I
Right,
mean?
I know.
That are frozen, but they're not. Some of them aren't quite frozen. You know what I mean? I
Well,
think
no,
they are
but, I mean,
now.
some of it you could. I mean, there's
Yeah, there
crevasses
is a
and
lot of
things
there
that
is a
you could
lot of
fall
up and
in.
down out there. Yeah, I mean, I've fallen there several times.
lots of times. I've witnessed
Yes,
the slowest fall ever.
the earth shook.
Stephanie Langer.
The earth shook.
Slowest
The earth shook.
fall
Yes,
ever.
I did fall.
It was slow motion in real time.
It hurt, and it was thunderous. And yeah, I'm surprised I didn't break a hip that time.
I'm talking about the one in the snow. What one are you talking about?
Oh, I'm talking about. Well, maybe that was the one.
Oh, you're
We were
talking about
wa-
the one on the trail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you hit
this
hard on
was
that
a
one.
different one. Oh, that was hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about the one where it's just the two of us
Oh,
out in the snow. We were doing a Sasquatch search, and you were way back there,
and then I just fell and laid there.
and you fell, but it was the slowest fall ever. I don't know how anyone could fall that slowly
Yeah.
from being on ground level. You fell, and it was very funny. But yeah, you've had some hard falls though too.
I have.
That one that
I have.
the earth actually shook.
It did.
Um,
It did.
And you had a pretty decent sized bruise, I guess. I did.
I
not see
did.
it.
Yeah.
Did
It
not
was
need to see
green, blue, and it was all colors. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right.
I'm glad you
So
didn't get lost in the woods. That's good.
that was, yeah, it
That's
was,
how people.
it was
die.
a
That's
little
what Jerry said?
terrifying.
No,
Yeah,
is that what Tommy said?
Tommy said
Tommy
that. Yeah. Steffi, this is how people die, honey. I said, thank you very
Yes.
much. And then he proceeded to tell me
Easy.
about these two, but listen, then he
Oh, no.
proceeded to tell me about the news about those two people looking for Sasquatch out in Washington State
I did not.
who
hear
did
this.
die. And they
Recent?
had just found them that day. He said, oh, by the
Oh,
way.
dear.
And I'm like,
That's too bad.
Hmm.
I didn't hear about that. How long were they gone?
I think they went missing on Christmas Eve. So then they were found like that Sunday. So that was like 4 or 5 days or whatever.
Oh, they,
You know? Yeah. So I don't know. And then of course they say, well, that's the wrong time of the year to look for the Bigfoots up in the elevations because I guess they were kind of up high in the mountains rather than down in the lowlands. They kind of come down in the wintertime.
oh,
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. The poor guys, right? And they weren't dressed appropriately. They didn't have enough stuff.
were they only
So,
planning on being out there like the
Probably,
afternoon
and
or
maybe
something?
they got lost. Maybe the
Yeah.
fog came in. See, and this is what happens. I don't know, but
Yeah, and hypothermia can get you
absolutely,
confused, and
Mhm.
you're not. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, scary for sure.
we've got a few folks in the chat
I see
room.
that.
Steve and Joe. Hey guys. Good to see ya.
Welcome in.
Welcome. Yeah, that's scary. That's, to get lost in the woods.
It
would be
is.
scary.
It is. And, well, we weren't really lost, right? We just
Well,
couldn't
okay.
see. And here's all I could say. And here I am telling it like it is. What would everybody say if the cryptid chicks got lost in their own research area? It wouldn't look good. We would never hear the end of it.
No.
So I'm glad we got out.
I'm glad you did too. Not that
Oh
you
my
wouldn't
gosh.
get found in that area. It's not.
No, it's not like, and that's what we talk about cryptid, suburban cryptids. But,
Right.
mhm. But it's
Glad you're okay.
yes. So I think we need to do the card pull.
So every week we're going to do a card pull, and we're not going to use the same deck that we used for the last few weeks because that was the Yule Oracle deck. And I'm switching it up now for the first of the year. And this week we're going to use the Crow Tarot. Whoops. So this, I don't know if I'm going to say the last name correctly. It's MJ Cullinan. Anyway, I love her decks. I have quite a few of them. Fantastic artist, and I love the book. that goes with it. Anyways, the Crow Tarot. Crow is one of my power
Mhm.
animals. It's been a power
Mhm.
animal of mine for decades. And when I saw this deck being funded, I became a backer of it because I thought this is going to be cool.
Yeah.
And it is cool.
Yeah.
So I actually
Looks
have
very
one
cool.
of the first runs of the deck, which is not this deck. That one's at home. So this one I ordered as one to keep here at work because
Mhm.
the one I have at home actually is really nice. It's a lot thinner. So it's a little smaller card. So it's easier to shuffle and easier to hold in the hands. But this one's okay. I mean, it's still the same. But this is just a bigger deck. So you got to work a little harder to shuffle and whatever. But I'm not going to do a proper shuffle. I'm just going to back and forth like this. But I'll pull a tarot card for everybody to, kick off the new year and see what kind of message you all can contemplate over the week ahead here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shuffle. Are you
Okay.
paying attention here?
I'm
What's
paying
going on?
attention.
Okay. So let me know when to
right.
stop. And this will be for everybody watching. Okay.
I think right now.
Okay. Top of the deck. Here we go. This is the Page of Wands, which wands are typically, they're a fire card. So wands represent fire energy. And typically when I do a reading, wands will be involving projects or work or creativity or something that gets energy moving, gets your energy moving, gets you excited about something, passionate about something, excited. Those are all some of the positive attributes of the wand card. Now, the page, when you're looking at pages, it's one of the court cards. So a lot of times people would look at that as actually representing a person in your life. I don't typically look at that unless I'm called to when I'm doing the reading. I typically don't go that direction. I'll look at more of the attributes of the card. Pages, if you're not familiar with tarot, it's the first of the court people, right? So it's the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. So the page is the first. So really kind of that beginner energy, young energy, naive energy. There's a lot of hope with the page card. Yeah. So there's this newness with the page, which is it's a good card. You still have some experience because you have that whole run 1 through 10, and then you have the page. So there's some experience, there's some tools in the toolbox, but still not a master, right? So I'll just read from the book. We'll just use a couple of sentences here. I won't read the whole thing.
Well, it's a great card for the new year.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Oh, they have the excuse me, the page or the court cards are in the beginning. It goes reverse order for these. So it starts with the king and it goes to the ace. Okay, so the Page of Wands is a messenger of good news. She brings the ideas and creative outlook on life that illuminates any room. Her vibrant, youthful energy is powerful enough to spark a change in direction or push an original project forward. She loves adventure, and although she is ready to travel anywhere her wings will take her, she is not reckless. Page brings a free-spirited energy to the situation and prepared to take in all the world has to offer. So again, it's that kind of throw caution to the wind to some degree. It's not reckless, again, like they were saying, because you have some of that wisdom, the ace through the 10. So looking at a spirit of adventure, the unknown is somewhat in this because the page is a new, it's one of the newer court cards. It's younger court cards. So there's an innocence there that's part of the unknown, but still that energy of hope and adventure and willing to go for it. But still having a small toolbox available for, whatever you come up on. So think about, in the week ahead, as we're looking at this card, what could be something that you could maybe take a little adventure or take a little risk or do something new that you haven't done before. And that definitely fits in with the new year.
Yep. It's a great card.
Yeah. Perfect.
Great card to pull.
Yeah. So anyway, this is an awesome deck.
If
you are interested,
very pretty.
Go to her website. I don't have her website here. Anyway, you'll be able to find her. It's the Crow Tarot. Make sure you order from her website. I can't even tell you, so many creators of different tarot decks and oracle decks and everything, because she has some oracle decks too, that they're getting knocked off left and right.
Oh, I'm
And no
sure.
offense to Amazon or anything, but seriously, you don't know what you're getting
Yeah.
when you order from secondary sites. So just go right to her
Yeah.
website. It might cost a little more, but at least you know it's the authentic deck. Same with any decks out there. I have
Mhm.
bought, I think I talked about this before, I bought a knockoff. I didn't know it was a
Mhm.
knockoff, and I felt terrible. So I went to the creator's website and bought it again.
Mhm.
But you'll know the cards when you buy a knockoff. It's a flimsy deck.
Yeah. I mean, they're really nice cards when they're original.
They are, and you get a nice book. Like this book
the whole shadoo.
is a nice little guide. It's
Mhm.
you know, a lot of times the knockoff decks, it'll be in a flimsy little box. It won't have a book. It won't have any kind of pamphlet or anything. So anyway, go directly to the website to get a deck like this, because it's worth it. And support
it is.
support people.
You got to
who
support the
are
artists.
creating this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely, for
All right.
sure.
There's
All
my
right.
PSA.
I love it. So what are these comments here on the I can't really read them.
Okay. So Steve, just a suggestion. Next time I'm trying to read this.
Mhm.
Take off on your adventure into the woods. Oh, this is for you, Stephanie.
Mm.
Try setting down some glow sticks in case it turns dark on you. Unless, of course, you don't mind finding your way out.
Well, okay, darkness really isn't the issue there because we've been there and we've stayed overnight out there, so
Right.
we know the way. It's just that it was the fog and we got turned around but thank you for that.
Still see could you see glow sticks in the fog? I don't know. I haven't
know
tried it.
because the fog was so thick that day. It was
It was
so
really bad.
thick. And I coming
Yeah.
home, it was like it was incredible. It was incredible. And it just happened like within a few minutes.
So when we've gone out there, so Steve, this is going back to your comment.
Yeah.
When we've gone out, and at night too, when we did this. So one of the things that I would do is I would bring these big white plastic 55-gallon garbage bags.
We did do that.
They're huge, 55-gallon garbage bags. And we'd go through the woods, and when we go to off the path, so when you're on the path, it's good. I mean, it's a clear path.
Right.
And then you get to the opening, the expanse that goes over the swamp. And I would take one of those big garbage bags and I would tie it to a small branch that is on the edge of where the path is. And you can see it and I'd open up the bag once it's tied on. So it has these two huge, almost like big balloons.
Yeah, it was. So you could see it.
You can see it from far away. So that's what I did every time I went out because I trust nobody in saying, I know how to get us back. No, I trust nobody. So I'd tie those babies up. And then as we're going through the woods on a non-path, we're just going through the woods, I'd tie them to the trees every, 100 feet or so. And then, of course, as we're going out, I'd take them all off.
Yes.
With me.
Yes.
I didn't leave them.
Yes.
But because you can see those babies from a long ways away and you cannot see the black ones.
Yeah. No.
The dark bags do not work.
No.
You need
and we have had flags too, like orange flags that we've used sometimes too.
Those are little though.
They are little. They are big, and we can really see them.
Yeah, those bags are huge. You can see them from
when we first started going out there. Yeah, because we didn't know. It's a big area, and it's anybody who goes out in the woods to look for Bigfoot or cryptids. There may be a trail that you follow part way, but then you're on your own.
Yep. I don't know if you guys can see this.
So yeah.
So there's your tip.
Yeah.
Glow sticks. Maybe try it.
Glow sticks.
See what happens.
Not a bad idea.
We've got Michael and Steve is saying awesome idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. So that's what we would do to get out.
To get out. Yes.
Of the woods.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Good ideas. All of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we're doing the Paranormal Smorgasbord. Now, for those who have not watched the Paranormal Smorgasbord before, this is where you all contribute. So we're sitting around the metaphysical table, right? We're here to talk all things paranormal. That's our show.
Yeah.
And we want input from you guys, gals, people, humans, souls, all of you who are with us. So if you have an idea of a topic or
you just have something
to share.
Yeah. please do so in the comments.
Start
Type it
typing.
away, because that's how it works. And this was like one of our most favorite things when we had when we were on radio.
Yep.
You know, people were just bonkers, and they gave us so many wild ideas and so many things that we had to do a lot of research on.
Yeah.
You
Or
know, to
find
do shows,
experts
find experts
to be on the show with us.
Yep.
Because we did not
Well,
know.
Absolutely. But yeah, we've had some, I mean, things we wouldn't even have thought about, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bring your ideas. We can talk about them, type them in. We can talk about them, or we might bump them to its own show because it's
because it's a big one.
it's a good idea. And it's
And we have done that for quite a few, actually,
Yep. So that's how the paranormal smorgasbord works. You just bring whatever you want, dump all your topics in the middle,
Mhm.
and we just go for it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah. So we're interested to see what y'all have to say.
Oh, Cryptovania TV, they're saying, how about Matt Moneymaker's most recent?
Yes.
What is?
We have it loaded up. So Matt Moneymaker had posted in the BFRO last week. I had sent it to Trost and Tommy about this Bigfoot sighting somewhere in between Cryptovania and Salt Fork is what I understand Jason to have said. I mean, we can read the whole report, but I mean, it's a pretty good report.
Well, on the screen it says a daylight sighting of Sasquatch by a deer catcher.
Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it says to paraphrase it, we don't have to read the whole thing. But he talks about he was up in the stand and he saw this creature, what he thought it was too far away for him to really see, but the ground that it covered and the amount of time that it covered and the fact that it wasn't running, it was like just walking, was incredible. And he was tall, and couldn't really say what it was. Now, I'm not sure why he wouldn't have went the next day to see if he could find tracks for that thing. I mean, I'd have been out there right away. You know what I mean? Not my deal.
Well,
but
maybe there was a deer too, and he didn't want to spook the deer.
Could be.
He was hunting.
He got his dad up there, and then the dad didn't see it. But so the notes from Matt Moneymaker are this. I and the BFRO investigator there spoke with the witness by phone. We concluded that he is credible and the report is legitimate. The question in this case is whether it was a misinterpretation, especially whether it was a human walking across the field rather than a Sasquatch. The witness's perception that it was a squatch rather than a human that he was seeing at that distance was due to the speed that it moved across the field. He observed a walking pace of brisk strides rather than a full-out run. He knew a human would need to be running at top speed to cover the same distance so fast. He could tell that it had to be very tall and taking very long strides. That is a distinguishing feature of what a Sasquatch will look like from a distance. Not only will it be big and dark, but it will cover much ground more quickly than a human. The speed at which the figure crossed the field eliminates the possibility of a human, in my opinion, as well. Even if the dark bipedal figure was 1,000 feet away, so that the fur texture couldn't be clearly visible, it was still a Class A sighting rather than a Class B, which is a possible sighting, but less certain than a Class A, because all other reasonable alternatives have been eliminated. So they're really excited about this sighting at the BFRO.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean it's a Sasquatch? No. But pretty credible.
Right. I mean, you would expect a hunter to be pretty aware
Mm-hmm.
and knowing of his surroundings and what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, a hunter is going to know the difference between a human and an animal.
Yes.
They have to.
Well,
for all the reasons.
I would hope.
Yes.
Yes. But I think the speed is one of the things that we think about.
Right.
Yeah.
To cover a certain amount of distance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'd have to know, okay, I've covered that distance and it took twice as long.
Yes.
Exactly. So
walking rather than running.
Right.
Not out at a full out run. So a question about a young child tells you they have a ghostly friend. Oh, can you read that? I can't see it. I can't see it.
When a young child tells you they have a ghostly friend, This is from Steve in the chat room.
Okay.
Ghostly friend that you cannot see. Should you believe in what they're saying? Because there might be a chance it's not imaginary after all. Okay. I would engage in some questions. I would engage in some questions of, what exactly is happening. I mean, if it gets really fantastical, right? If it's very almost unbelievable, then it's probably imaginary. If it looks, if he's got, pink ears and, funny, like, description of non-human, whatever. So I would say probably imaginary, but keep asking questions. What the worst thing I remember as a kid, seeing other beings and being told it's not real. Stop talking about it.
You talk about that a lot.
It drove me bonkers because I got scared because I thought, okay, this is bad. This is something that shouldn't be happening. I'm not making it happen, but now I'm being told it's scared. So the worst thing you can do is just dismiss it.
Yeah.
So I would just ask questions. Yeah. And I'm curious. So if this is actually happening and how old the child is, if you are willing to share, I'm curious because if this is actually happening, I'd love to know the age of the child because there tends to be this
cutoff.
Yeah. A phase, where kids just don't have all the filters in place yet. Right. So once you get to 8, 9, 10, that stuff might start to fade a little bit.
Yeah, because the world keeps telling them there is no such thing.
Right. Nobody else is seeing this kind of stuff. Yeah. So then your brain just starts to filter it out and go, okay, this is irrelevant. I'm just trying to help you, human, because this stuff is irrelevant because nobody else is interested or they can't see it anyway. So let's just dismiss it.
Yep.
So Absolutely. It's like an automatic filter that gets put in place. So
sadness. Don't ever do that to your child.
Right. But you have to be careful, too, to not engage too much in.
Well, and that's true, too.
Whatever, is going on. If it is fantasy, you want your kid to have some grounding in reality, too, to have them keep, are they disassociating for some reason? Or something
you have to watch behavior for sure.
Is there something else happening outside of the house and this kid is traumatized, whatever. So you have to be careful.
Yep. But
I would just ask a lot of questions. That's what I would do is because you got to figure out like, why is this happening? What is happening? Because again, if something real is happening that you need to be aware of as a parent or guardian, whatever.
Yes.
And the kids, that's their way of processing something bad happening. I mean, you got to ask a ton of questions.
Absolutely.
But it could be a spirit.
It could be a spirit.
If your kids sense, a lot of kids are sensitive.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, most kids are.
Runs very strong in my family. So I think most kids are for sure. Right. And it's the kids who have the parents who say no, there's no such thing. You know what I mean? And what are you talking about? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I would do is just engage it just enough to ask some questions and see what kind of answers you get. And then, if it's really fantastic, just out of the realm of possibility, then it's probably imaginary. It's their imagination kind of creating some
could be
fantasy kind of stuff, fun, whatever. That's cool. I think a lot of kids do that.
They do. But like I remember my nephew, they lived in an old house, a really old house, Victorian style house in St. Paul. And he was young and he kept talking about this young baby named Reagan that was always in his room.
The baby was named Reagan.
Reagan.
Oh, Reagan.
Like
wow,
okay, at that time, nobody had kids named Reagan. I mean, that was like an old name from 100 years ago, for example, and really, and Heather was really good about it, and she said, wow, that's crazy, and we did go over there and I didn't say anything to him because he was pretty young, right? I mean, there was stuff in that house for sure. But so, and Heather, same, our whole family kind of, well, we still do. Okay. But kids.
Yeah. No, that's an awesome point. And that's where I would start. It's just asking questions. That would be it.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know if this is someone, if the parents are intuitive, because it runs in families for sure, and they'd be better able to equip to deal with it as well.
Well, one of the things too, when I'm working with people who have intuitive kids, because they're like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, you have to be careful, this fine line, because
Mhm.
kids still have to be grounded in
do.
this human experience.
Yes.
And so you don't want to get them too far out there and too into it, because by the time they hit like teenagers, I'm telling you, it is a mess
Yeah.
to deal with being a teenager and all the spirit stuff. Spirit will wait. Spirit will wait.
They will.
So
Mhm.
to get your kid too into all this like paranormal and spirit and intuitive and psychic and whatever
Mhm.
at a young age, it's a mess.
Yeah.
When you're a teenager,
It is.
to handle it all.
It
So
is. Absolutely.
light and just say, hey, you know what? We can tell them to go away. We can tell them to wait, come back a different day. I'm busy right now, getting used to saying those things to just, so you have your time to be, because
Exactly.
there's certain spirits, if there is a spirit, that will monopolize
That's absolutely true.
your time
Yes.
if you let them. So
might not be a good spirit either.
right.
You know?
So you definitely want to ask some questions and keep tuned in, because what you don't want to do is have your kid not tell you because they think you're going to be mad or not believe them.
Right.
Because something bad could happen and then they don't know who to tell, and then they're scared. So, and then all the other things that I've already talked about, what it could be if it's not paranormal. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's saying something else too. Something about paranormal.
He said, no, I have a rather large paranormal site that I presented the same question to, and I'm just curious on what answers you guys might have. That's why I asked the question.
Good.
It's amazing some of the answers we got. I'm curious if you got anything that you go, whoa, that is a
crazy thing.
That's a wild answer. I'm curious if you got any answers that you go, oh no, that's not okay.
I'm curious. I think in all the years we've been doing this, we've probably heard just about every answer you might have heard too. Yeah,
we've heard some pretty bad stuff.
Yes,
pretty bad advice.
Absolutely, yeah, anyway. Really bad advice. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, hello to the folks that joined too, King Sisters.
Yeah,
Tim, thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
So in Cryptovania TV, they said my boy had an imaginary friend he called Black Man.
Oh.
And oops.
We're losing the screen.
Nope, I just had my. Okay. It was an alert that popped up and blocked my thing. So later I found newspaper clippings about a family in my neighborhood called the Blackmans.
Oh.
And I'm guessing your kid did not read the newspaper.
Probably not. Probably not.
So it literally was the Blackmans. That was the last name of the family.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
I like that.
It is. I do like that. I do like that too.
But then awesome. Again, you got to be careful because you don't know what these. Is it really one of the family, or is it someone pretending to be someone from the family to get in? And now you see the article and you're like, oh, then this is okay because they were real.
Yeah, but no. And you know,
it still could be.
For people who aren't versed in the paranormal, you have to be careful for trickster spirits because there are a lot of them. There are a lot of experienced investigators who will say, oh, but there's a child here. Well, this child really isn't a child. It could be a very mean-spirited spirit, you know, and something that you don't want to deal with, so be careful, be wary.
Yeah.
We've seen it all.
Good.
So
that's good.
Yeah, good questions.
Good topic. See, this is Paranormal Smorgasbord. Here it's happening. This is awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
I know. Me too.
I love the topics.
Awesome.
We'd rather not use our topics.
We would. We would rather have your topics.
We have topics in case nobody shows up with
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But in our old format when we were just doing radio, it was like boom, 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 boom. We couldn't even keep up.
No.
Some of them we had to table them for the next one.
I know. Yeah, it was.
So this is awesome. So keep them coming.
It is good. It is awesome.
Yeah. So Cryptovania TV said by the time we saw the clippings, Blackman was gone and a distant memory. So this was well after the imaginary friend had been coming around is when you guys found out.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
That's
that
awesome.
Just says legit story right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we've got Mac in the chat room saying Don't take spirits for granted. I've had myself and kids see and talk to dead family members.
Oh.
None were dangerous. A lot of love in my house. My kids even knew what relatives were doing, and that they were protective spirits. Also, when you talk to your kids, they don't get frightened. Yeah, that's true. And it's important so that your kids feel like they can come to you when this stuff is happening, because again, if something bad either is happening or could happen,
Mm-hmm.
you want your kids to feel like they're okay coming to you
Absolutely.
about this. Even if you don't know how to handle it,
Yes.
you can find a resource to get them help. But what you don't want is them to be suffering in silence or getting advice off of Google,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
internet, helpful, not helpful.
Yeah. Let's don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
So
do the
you
Google
want
thing.
you want them to continue to talk to you. So yes, Mac, thank you for that. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good stuff. Paranormal stuff.
I love it.
It is good. It is good.
This is great. See,
This
paranormal
is good.
smorgasbord.
Paranormal smorgasbord. And it's still, the veil is very thin right now. Still. I mean, this is why we're having things going on in our homes, So yes, I do believe my house will get a good cleaning this weekend. Clearing.
Yeah, I just told mine to go away. I said, whoever's here.
Well,
just
I never
go
thought
away.
about it, right? I'm just like, whatever. Until you talked about it.
I don't let them hang out. So if I hear, like I did just today, and then a couple of days ago, I hear someone coming up and down the stairs. I'm like, hey, hit the road.
Hit the road, Jack.
Get out. I do not want to deal with this. And usually they'll leave. I don't stop what I'm doing. Well, they always seem to leave.
Yeah.
I just, because this was different than the last time. So
Yeah.
I know it's not the same one.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone else. And it could be the former owner, because he comes around every once in a while. You guys have heard him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
We have heard him on the
He
show.
was in my microphone.
Yes.
When I was doing the show from home that one time.
And I can't remember what he did. Did he make
He
a
did
noise?
his
or
noise that he made.
it was like a cough or
Yeah, he
something?
was like,
and there was nobody else with her. Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And he does that in the house. And I would never have told anybody. So the people, like Jerry, heard it
Yeah.
and said it. And I said, there's no way Jerry would have known that.
No.
So I know he
No.
heard it because I've not told anybody.
Exactly. So
Awesome.
it's
Anyway, I just told him
interesting.
to go away.
Wait,
And
yeah.
if they don't go away,
And that's what you
then
can
they'll
do.
get cleared.
And remember that, people, if you have spirits in your house and you don't want them there, just tell them to go away. It's my house.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
gone.
I'm gonna move the computer up just a little bit because there's a big.
So we can. I know. I see that. It's like a huge amount of words there.
Whoops, that was my computer. I just want to be able to see some of this. That, we're getting these. So Steve says most of the answers we got, you should absolutely follow up on what the child is saying and don't disbelieve what they're saying. Oh, this is when you put them in the other chat rooms, right?
Yes.
And other groups. So same thing you're explaining, follow up with questions, not deny their experience, because some of these answers we got came from adults who were a child and they actually experienced something like this, but their parents were in total disbelief. Yeah. And that's like how I grew up.
Yeah.
Was nobody believed me. And they were like, people are going to think you're crazy. Don't tell anybody this. It's nonsense, and it's scary because I felt like a good kid. This stuff was happening. Now I'm told it's bad. And now I don't know what to do. And I'm scared. So yeah, ask questions. Yeah. Even if you don't believe your kid, just ask questions to keep them talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, what if, so going outside of the paranormal, what if, and I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, whatever, but what if something is happening that's something traumatic and your kid is creating this to deal with it?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to know if you're like, that's not real, and you just shut them down? Like,
no,
you have to be careful.
And
then again, I'm not trying to give advice. I don't know, but that's what I would do. I would just keep them talking so you can kind of figure out which direction things are going. So anyway.
So King Sisters Paranormal are saying, I know, I love when people have what they believe to be spirits in their house and they're comfortable sharing their spaces with them. But it's not only good, but unnecessary to confront them if you are comfortable with them. So yeah, no, that is true. I mean, if they're not causing you any harm, whatever, coexist.
I disagree.
Well, you have spirits in your house.
I tell them to get out every time.
Do you? I
Every
thought you
time.
had some that were kind of residents there.
No, I have a zero
Oh.
tolerance policy.
Oh,
Every time I tell them to get out,
oh,
because here's what I do know. I know this because I've had to deal with this with other people. So if you have, and I know I've heard this so many times. So people, you get all crazy and on my case about, well, I have a ghost and they're fine. Do you? Okay, you do you. But what I have seen does happen. May not happen every time, but you let one in, and they get
What's that?
comfortable, and they're hanging out.
Well, and I can see
And then
that.
here's another one.
But
It's
if there's
like, well,
somebody that's with the house, you know what I mean? Like I have never had it, right? But my niece Dolly, you know Dolly,
mhm.
her house that she just sold a few years back had a woman in there that lived there, died there, and Dolly is very sensitive like me. Sees her, saw her, and she never did anything wrong. She did. There were some stories though that I thought were interesting. Like, you know, she would kind of take care of the kids, which was wild, you know. Um, she moved out. Now she's in this big old house that's from really old and it's huge, massive Victorian in St. Paul. And she did say she thought there might be something in there. And I said, well, are you scared? What's it doing to you? Nothing. Like, well, you know what you need to do. So if you need me, you know where to find me. You know, I haven't felt anything there. So I don't, it's interesting.
Wow.
And she said, not all the time, but you know,
I
every once in a
have
while.
a zero tolerance policy.
Well, I don't let them in my house. That's for sure. That's why I said, you know, I never thought about it. But I think it's time for a cleansing at the Langer house.
If I hear anyone or feel anyone, I just, if you're not here for my highest good, you need to leave. Because again, if you're letting one in, hang out, you've given permission. It kind of says to the rest of them, she'll give permission. Maybe not right away, maybe at some point. So give it a shot anyway. So it could be an unintentional invitation for others to come in and hang out and maybe hide out. So maybe you don't know they're there. Maybe they're good at disguising themselves or whatever. Why would they need to be there? It's just better to be safe than sorry. I say none.
Well, that's always been my policy as well. You know, but I also think that the other thing that I've noticed, and you and I have talked about this a lot, is how people will ask us to clear their houses, cleanse their houses. You know, we do an investigation. We know it's there. We take the time. We spend the time. We leave. The place is clean. There's no spirits there. And then what do? They go back in there and say, oh, we want you to come back. And hello, George. And here's the camera. Can you do some tricks? And then they're back, you know? And so we have counseled umpteen people, and you have to get kind of mean. I hate to say that, but you have to just sit them down and say, hey, you can't be doing this.
You could say stern.
Stern, yes. Listen, honey, put the cameras away. Yeah, and stop talking about it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do if you're to the point where you need a clearing,
yeah,
then stop talking to all of them.
Absolutely.
Because,
absolutely.
Yeah, you don't need anybody there. The ones that are supposed to be there are going to be there even if you do a clearing. Those, your guides and angels and your good family, because some family is just as bad as bad ghosts.
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
You don't want them there.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Zero tolerance. That's always been my zero tolerance policy. And
that is definitely mine.
TV said the same thing. Zero tolerance policy is great.
No, none in my house either.
Yeah. But that, again, you do you.
That's
knock
right.
yourself out. It's up to. Geez, that was my bracelet.
We're getting pretty worked up over here.
I am getting worked up because I know what can happen, and it's not good.
It's bad.
And again,
and then you have to call people like us, and then we have to be stern and mean and say, "Hey, listen, this is what you need to do."
I will be stern. Stephanie will be mean.
Can you imagine me being mean? Come on, no, but you know,
no.
Anyway,
yeah, I am getting worked up. I've smashed my bracelet on the desk. It's like no tolerance policy.
No tolerance. Yeah, I get
no
it.
Ghosts in the house.
For sure. We don't want them. I know. Oh my gosh, this has been really good.
I gotta remember not to wear this one again. This is causing a ruckus.
Oh my god. Good points. All of them.
Yeah.
King sisters say. Yeah. I mean, you gotta. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and again, I respect a lot of different viewpoints. I get why people want to have their ghosts. However, I've also seen it turn
Ugly.
south. Yeah,
fast.
I've seen it go bad.
Mhm.
And so I have my perspectives on it because of the stuff that I've seen and had to deal with
Well.
in people's houses. And
Yeah. We've had some pretty awful things. So,
yeah,
oofta.
yeah. Anywho,
Yeah. So, well,
All right.
great show. So this was awesome.
see, this is
the way.
Paranormal Smorgasbord.
This is the way.
Good
it is.
job, everybody.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So
I
think
love
about it, because the first Wednesday of every month, we have the show. So you
Yes.
can save up your topics for the Paranormal Smorgasbord, or if you have something that's really good, send it to us
Yeah.
ahead of time, and maybe we can work it into have its own show, or
Mhm.
find a expert
Mm-hmm.
that can be a guest on our show.
That's right. Because we have met
So-
so many cool people over these thousands of years that we've been doing this that it's just amazing.
Or 10 years that we've been doing it.
The decade. Yes.
Or if you know someone that would be a guest on our show, that would be a really interesting guest on our show. Let me clarify and qualify that.
Right.
Interesting guest on our show, send us a message too through our Facebook or our YouTube account. And by the way, folks on YouTube, can you subscribe?
Yeah,
You wanna
subscribe to our channel. We're a brand new channel.
It is a brand new
We
channel.
only have 17 subscribers yet. So come on, people. Come on. Let's get it. Let's everybody get in there and get it in there.
Help us.
Help
Thank
us.
you. No.
Yeah. I mean, this is an all new, like we said, this is all new for us. We used to be radio only. So
We're starting over.
we are.
But we're
It's
so
growing.
glad you guys
Yeah.
are here. This is fun.
Absolutely. This
This is
is
fun.
super fun.
Yeah.
So
This is the best show is the Paranormal Smorgasbord.
I think so too. Because it's fun. Because we can just talk about everything and anything. So next week, what are we going to do next week, Heidi?
Okay, so next week because it's the beginning of the year,
Mhm.
and we're here in the My Spirit Experience studio. Right?
Yeah.
And this time of year, I do a lot of year ahead readings for people. People are like, what's coming up for the year ahead? What do I have in store? So we're going to do that next week. We're going to take our tarot decks out
Mhm.
and we're going to talk a little bit about tarot stuff. You're going to bring your deck.
I'm going to bring my deck. Yep.
And we're going to do a little paranormal spread
Mhm.
that,
Something easy, not complicated.
that just gives you a little peek into the
Yeah.
year ahead.
Yeah. So you might be prompted to run and get your now see, and we've talked about this before, but I have one tarot deck because I really like the oracle decks. I like the one card pulls. But I have this beautiful tarot deck. So I'm gonna learn how to use it next
Yeah.
week.
Yep, we'll do a nice basic how to.
Mhm.
We're nothing deep. We're not going deep with this.
No.
This is going to be very easy,
Yes.
user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
If you've done tarot for a long time, come
Yeah.
show us your cards.
Yep.
I'd love to see if you can talk about your cards. Maybe put the name of the deck in there
Yeah.
so we can look them up at some
Mhm.
point, or
Mm-hmm.
however we can do that. Maybe we'll have our tablets out and we can,
Yes.
look them up quick.
Yeah,
or I don't know
for
how to
sure.
share photos on here. I don't know if you can.
I don't know if we can either.
Yeah, but anyway, we'd love to hear what decks you're working with.
Yeah.
If you're brand new, bring your deck
Yes.
and follow
We'll see.
along.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have
I think it'll be really
just
cool.
real fun.
And I think we'll kind of dispel some of the things. So for those of you who aren't used to tarot decks and you say, oh my God, I would never have one because there's things like the death card. Okay, we're going to dispel some of those fears
Yep.
because, these cards don't actually mean what they say they do.
Yep.
Not
Not that way.
I mean, because most people would say, oh, I got the death card, so I'm dying. No, that's not what it means.
No. So yeah, and I've been doing tarot for 15 years or so, maybe about 15 years.
Mhm.
And I love talking about tarot. I love looking at different decks. I love showing people how user friendly it can be. It does not have to be intimidating. So we're going to talk
No.
about that next week. We're going to do just a little peek into the year ahead
Yeah,
with tarot.
absolutely.
Just do a little basic, guidance on how to use the cards. And
Mhm.
so that'll be next week.
Yeah, be fun. So I think we'll say toodles for the evening. I'm coming up with some really wild things tonight. So thank you all for coming and joining us and putting your stories and questions in the chat room here. And for all the troops who may be watching, listening, thank you for your service and please be safe.
Yes. And thank you so much to Jason Trost for producing our show tonight, Cryptovania TV, for hosting us. And we are so grateful.
They are saints for these two, let me tell you.
They're awesome. Thank you guys so much. And to everybody that joined us tonight and everybody out there listening, if you're listening to the the video replay afterwards or the podcast later, thank you so much for tuning in. We love to have you gather around the metaphysical table with us.
Yeah. We'll see you next week for the tarot show.
See
Good
ya.
night, everyone.